Hello everyone, let's solve some Leetcode today. So today we have Leetcode 200, which is number of islands. In this problem, we will be having an m by n 2D binary grid, and in this grid we will be having ones and zeros as a string. They are not numbers. Here 1 represents the part of land and zeros represent the part of water, and we have to return the number of islands that we can have in the grid. An island is surrounded by water and is formed by connecting adjacent lands horizontally or vertically. It means we have two directions, horizontally and vertically. We don't have a diagonal direction, only two, horizontal and vertical. And we can assume that the edges of the grid are all surrounded by water. It means anything outside of this grid is simply considered as water. We cannot go there. So what this question is saying is that we will have a grid like this. In this grid, we will have some ones and some zeros. Zeros is representing water, one is land. We need to find out how many islands we have. So we have, for example, here one single island like this. So this is an island, right? Basically, we have to find out the number of groups of ones in the given grid. Now suppose that we have a grid like this. Here we have ones and zeros. Now we need to find out the number of islands that are present in the grid. An island is nothing more than land connected horizontally and vertically. So basically we have to find out the group of lands connected vertically and horizontally. So 1 is representing land. So we have a group like this. So this represents an island because they are connected horizontally and vertically. In the same way, we have a group like this also. This is also an island. It's a smaller island, but it is an island. It is connected horizontally. This itself is an island, even though it is simply a single land, but it is really small island. And this here is another island. Understand that this island is not part of this one, okay? Because we are not considering diagonals. So this is a completely different island. So that's why this is a completely different island. It means we have how many islands here? We have one, we have two, we have three islands, and we have four islands. It means the answer will be 4. Now the question is how to solve it. Well, we can use graphs because we do have cell here, which is basically a node. So this node can contain 1 or 0, and then we have a rule. We can either go horizontally or we can go vertically. We cannot go diagonally. So it means we have a node and we have rules that actually tells us how we can go from one node to another node. It means we can construct a graph with the help of these two things. If you do not know how this works, please watch my video on graphs and DFS. In that video, I have told you everything about graph that I know. I have poured all of my knowledge in there. So I will have a link in the description, and you might also see a card somewhere here linking to that particular video. So what we will do is we will consider these ones as nodes and we will start traversing them with the help of DFS. We will use DFS. You can also use BFS if you want, but DFS implementation is simpler. So we will use DFS. But as you can see here that we can have multiple islands inside of our grid. It means we will actually need to perform DFS multiple times. And how can we do this? Well, it's simple. We will actually go through each and every cell of this grid with the help of a for loop, just like we normally traverse a simple grid. And each time we find a 1, we will say run a DFS from this node. And in that DFS, we will end up going through each and every one connected to that particular node. And so suppose if I start from this particular one, I will end up going through this one, this one, this one, and this one. This entire land will be covered, and all of these nodes or all of these cells will be actually placed inside of a visited set. Inside of this, we will have all these nodes collected, and it means once the DFS completes for this particular island, we will not go through DFS again for any of these ones. We will just skip it. Then we will go to this particular node. We will see it's a 0, it's a water. So we will not actually place DFS here also. Then we will eventually come to this node, right? We will place the DFS on this one, and then the DFS will end on this node itself because it's a single node. So it means we have run DFS 2 times till now. Then we will reach these nodes, and here we will start running DFS from this one. We will cover both of these nodes, and then we will come back. It means the DFS has been run 3 times till now, and then we will move forward. We will find 0 here, we want to run DFS. We will find again a 0 here, we won't run DFS. We will find 0 here, 0 here, we will not run DFS. And then we will find a 1 here. We will again run DFS for this one to find out all of the ones connected with this. And that means we have used DFS 4 times till now in the grid. And 4 is exactly the answer. And then we will move on, we will find 0, we will not run DFS, and then if we move on, we will not have any element to traverse. It means this particular number 4 is basically the answer. The number of times we run DFS is basically equal to the number of islands that are present inside of the grid. So now that we have understood this thing theoretically, it is time to look at the code. So here's the code. First of all, we have this direction array that will actually help us to go up, down, left and right from a given cell. And here I'm writing the DFS function. So in the DFS function, I'm taking the row, that is I, then I'm taking the column J, then I'm taking the visited set in which we will have all the cells that we have already visited, and then we will have grid. And here I'm saying I'm going to use a variable direction, which is basically non-local. It means that this variable exists outside of this DFS function, that is here. Then here the DFS starts. The first thing I'm doing is that I'm taking I and j and I'm adding them inside of this visited set. I am creating a tuple of I and j and I'm adding it in the set. And then I'm going through all the neighboring nodes or all the connected lands to this land. So for each direction, in the directions, I am calculating the row and column for that particular neighbor. So here I'm checking a few things. First of all, if the row is less than 0 or the row is greater than the length of the grid, or the column is less than 0 or column is greater than the length of the grid's columns, then we can say that we are out of bounds. We are outside of the grid, and it means we will not be running any DFS because these row and column are invalid. They are outside the grid. But if they are inside the grid, then here we are checking if these row and columns have already been visited or not. If they are visited, if they are inside of this visited set, we will not be running DFS because we have gone through this particular column and row anyways, right? But if they are also not in the visited, then the last thing that we are checking is what is present on this particular cell, on this particular row and column cell. If it is 0, that means if it is water, then also we are not going to run DFS. So if any of these conditions become true, then we are saying that we are not going to run DFS. We will simply continue the loop from here itself. So we will not be running this particular line. But if this condition turns out to be false, we will run the DFS on this particular row and column, and we will go through all the neighboring nodes also and mark them visited. So this marks the end of our DFS function. And now we are going to try and calculate the islands. So first of all, I have this island variable that is set to 0. Then I have my visited set that is basically empty at this point. And now I am going through each and every element of this particular grid, just like we normally go through each and every element of a grid, right? So I have an I loop, I have a j loop, and then I'm checking if this particular I and j are not in visited, and the element at this I and j in the grid is actually one, that is a land, then we actually run DFS on this particular I and j on this particular cell. And once we have run the DFS on this particular I and j or on this particular node, we would have gone through all the connected land or all the connected nodes, and we would have already marked them visited inside of our DFS function. So it means after this DFS function completes, we have found an island. So we will simply increment the island. We have ran the DFS function one time till now, and then we will keep going through all the elements inside of the grid, and we will keep on running DFS until we find all of the islands. And once this is done, we will have all the islands and we will simply return the islands. So now let us try to run this and see what happens. So yeah, our code is running and it is passing all of the test cases. Now there is a way to better optimize the space, and that is by not using a visited set. So here the reason that we are using visited set is to make sure that we do not go through the same cell again. So to do that, we can simply remove the visited set, and when we are going through the cell, here in this case, we simply mark this particular I and j cell as 0. So I can simply say grid I and j equals to 0. If I do this, I will not need a visited set because here we have a check that we only run the DFS for I and j cell if and only if it contains 1. It means if I actually set I and j this cell to 0 during the DFS, it is basically making sure that I never run DFS on this particular cell again in this loop. So it is basically going to simulate this visited set. And here also in this particular condition, we are checking if a particular row and column contains 0, we will simply continue from here. We will not try to run DFS on this particular row and column. So it means going through the neighbors is handled, then calculating the DFS function calls is handled. So it means we don't really need the visited set actually. I just added it here to make sure that you understand these kind of concepts easily. But yeah, here if you do this, it will help you to optimize the space also. So now let us analyze space and time complexity. So the space and time complexity is same. It is order of m multiplied by n. You might be thinking that, hey, Satyam, we are using graph traversal, that is DFS. It should be order of v plus e, right? The number of nodes plus the number of edges. And yes, it should be this, but the reality is that we are also going through entire grid, right? And going through all the elements of the grid actually costs us m multiplied by n time complexity, and this is much bigger than this thing. And that's why in big O notation we are basically taking this particular bigger term as a time complexity. So yes, DFS does take this much time, O of V plus E, but we are also going through each and every element of the grid in the for loops. So that's why we have this time complexity. Now the same is true for the space complexity because we are using visited set, right? And in this visited set, we will end up storing all of the elements that are present inside of the grid. It means this m multiplied by n number of elements will be present inside of this visited set eventually. But even if you remove the visited set, what will happen is that in the worst case scenario where the entire grid is actually a simple land, there is no zero in the grid, you will end up creating a call stack of DFS, m by n DFS calls, because you will be running DFS on each and every element, right? So that call stack, which is an implicit call stack, it is done by operating system, will take order of m multiplied by n space complexity. So you will get m multiplied by n space complexity in both of these cases. But yes, if you remove the visited set, you will be saving space in terms of absolute amount. So yeah, like the video, subscribe the channel. If you have some kind of question that you would like me to target, or you have some kind of topic that you would like me to talk about, just let me know in the comments. Now we will meet in the next video. Till then, bye.